Assalamu alaikum, my dear student. This is Sifat Firdousi Shaun, lecturer, Department of Biology, Milestone College. I hope you are well by the grace of Allah. Today I will discuss with you Chapter 9 Plant Physiology, topic Respiration and Fermentation. What we will learn from today's lessons: definition of respiration, types of respiration, differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration, definition of fermentation, importance of fermentation or anaerobic respiration. First of all, we should know about what is respiration. Respiration is an intracellular process of oxidation reduction reaction by which cells release energy from organic compounds, that is actually sugars or carbohydrate like, to generate ATP to do other metabolic process. Adenosine triphosphate, ATP means adenosine triphosphate, we know that, generate ATP through a series of chemical reactions involving the transfer of electrons. In respiration, glucose is oxidized and thus releases energy. Oxygen is reduced to form water. The carbon atoms of the sugar molecules are released as carbon dioxide. Here we go for reaction of respiration process. We can see here this is the glucose C6H12O6 and oxygen, and it transforms into carbon dioxide, water and energy. It's actually a aerobic respiration. This equation is essentially the opposite of photosynthesis. We know about or we learn about photosynthesis in our previous class. Photosynthesis is a building process while respiration is a breaking down process. Respiration takes place in the mitochondria of every cell in an organism. In your exam, sometimes it will come difference between photosynthesis and respiration. Then we go for types of respiration. Respiration actually two types: aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration again three types: alcoholic fermentation, lactic acid fermentation and mixed acid fermentation. Then we go for aerobic respiration. Aerobic denotes the term in the presence of oxygen. So the respiration which occurs in the presence of oxygen is called aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration occurs in many plants and animals, eukaryotes, like higher plants and organisms. Actually, aerobic respiration takes place in higher organism actually. Aerobic respiration occurs in the cytoplasm to mitochondria. Here we go for aerobic respiration, some characteristics or where it is happened or how it is happened, or here catabolized or anabolized. So in most eukaryotes and prokaryotes, nutrients are broken down here and into carbon dioxide and water. Sequence of redox reaction. Most cells use glucose to obtain energy by aerobic respiration. Here this is the aerobic respiration reaction, that is C6H12O6, that means it is glucose and oxygen and form carbon dioxide and water and energy. Here a redox reaction, glucose becomes oxidized and oxygen becomes reduced. The free energy of electron is coupled to ATP synthesis. Electrons from glucose are transferred to oxygen but not directly. Through many reaction steps, NAD plus nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide actually, FAD, flavin adenine dinucleotide and cytochrome. Then we go for Anaerobic respiration. What do you mean by anaerobic respiration, or what is anaerobic respiration? You can find here and reaction of anaerobic respiration. The word anaerobic denotes the absence of oxygen. Respiration occurring in the absence of oxygen is known as anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration occurs in human muscle cells like eukaryotes, bacteria, yeast, prokaryotes, etc. Anaerobic respiration occurs in the cytoplasm only. Anaerobic respiration can be represented by the equation. Here, no oxygen is present. Glucose and energy and produced alcohol and carbon dioxide. So anaerobic respiration actually this is the reaction of anaerobic respiration. The energy released by anaerobic respiration is considerably less than the energy from aerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration takes place at some stage in the cells of most living organisms. For example, our own muscles resort to anaerobic respiration when oxygen is not delivered to them fast enough. Here, difference between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration occurs in all living cells of higher plants. Anaerobic respiration takes place in bacteria, certain fungi, germinating seeds, and fleshy fruits muscles. Aerobic respiration requires oxygen. Anaerobic respiration does not require oxygen. Here, aerobic respiration end products of aerobic respiration is carbon dioxide and water. End product of anaerobic respiration is alcohol or lactic acid and carbon dioxide. The oxidation of one molecule of glucose produces 38 ATP molecules. The number of ATP molecules produced is only 2 in anaerobic respiration. All the reactions except the reactions of glycolysis takes place inside mitochondria in aerobic respiration, and in anaerobic respiration all the reactions takes place in cytoplasm. In aerobic respiration, organic compounds are completely oxidized. That's why high amount of energy is released. In anaerobic respiration, organic compounds are incompletely oxidized and very small amount of energy is released. Aerobic respiration non-toxic to plants. Anaerobic respiration toxic to higher plants. Then we go for fermentation. Actually, anaerobic respiration and fermentation have some differences. It will be discussed our next slide. Here we go for what is actually fermentation. Fermentation is a metabolic process in which an organism converts a carbohydrate such as starch or sugar into an alcohol or an acid. For example, yeasts perform fermentation to obtain energy by converting sugar into alcohol. The science of fermentation is known as zymology. Then fermentation have anaerobic respiration, so many three types actually. We know about that lactic acid fermentation or alcohol fermentation. So here this is the most important thing. Lactic acid fermentation also occurs in muscle cells under strenuous activity. When our muscles are very stressed or when we exercised, that's time muscles consume energy or ATP faster than oxygen can be supplied, resulting in an anaerobic environment and thus lactic acid buildup and sore muscles. Fermentation. It occurs in the cells of cytoplasm, that is lactic acid fermentation occurs in the muscles. Here glucose converted into ATP and lactic acid. Some types of bacteria and yeast makes ATP during alcohol fermentation. Here glucose is converted into without oxygen, converted into ATP, alcohol and carbon dioxide. Here differences between anaerobic respiration and fermentation. First of all, fermentation refers to any group of chemical reaction induced by microorganisms to convert sugars into carbon dioxide and ethanol or alcohol. And the another point is anaerobic respiration refers to a type of cellular respiration that occurs in the absence of oxygen. Anaerobic respiration actually intracellular space, that means it occurs in the cells, and the fermentation it mostly occurs in extracellular process, that means it occurs in the outer side of the cells. In anaerobic respiration it occurs in the absence of oxygen. Fermentation, a small quantity of oxygen rather stimulates activity. Anaerobic respiration, the substrate and end products belong to the anaerobically respiring cells. In fermentation, the substrate is obtained from extracellular medium and the products are also passed to the outside. In anaerobic respiration, enzyme extracted from the cells cannot perform this type of respiration. Fermentation, the substrate is obtained from extracellular medium and the products are also passed to the outside. So, this is the differences between anaerobic respiration and fermentation. So, here we go for some uses of fermentation. So, uses of lactic acid fermentation. Bacteria ferment milk to create yogurt, now marketed as probiotics, that is lactobacillus species. In yogurt, lactobacillus bacteria is present, we know about that. Ethyl alcohol fermentation. What is the use of ethyl alcohol fermentation? Yeast for baking, brewing, ethyl alcohol, fuel production, genetic studies, Saccharomyces species, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, we know about that, Saccharomyces species. Soy sauce, this is the most popular in our life. Soy sauce uses both types of fermentation. So, then importance or applications of anaerobic respiration, useful in alcohol production, applied in baking industry. Yeast in dough make it rise due to the production of carbon dioxide. We love to bake. It also useful in the processing of dairy products, milk fermentation, cheese production, yogurt making, and commercial acids such as vinegar and citric acid. Production of biogases in function of fermentation, important in sewage treatment. So, this is our online classes. So, here we go for homework. Homework is, first of all, why does anaerobic respiration produce less energy? Number 2, differences between aerobic respiration and fermentation. In this video, I write about differences between anaerobic respiration and fermentation, but your work will be aerobic respiration and fermentation. Differences between anaerobic and fermentation. What is the respiratory material? So, this is the homework for you and you will submit your homework group. So, thank you my dear students for being with me. Stay clean and stay safe.